Everyone from the outside of the team looking in, I don't think have any expectations of Clutch for them doing well against Team Liquid. Team Liquid has been rolling over everyone for a year and a half now, and they've even done well internationally, right? So we get to go into this match basically zero pressure on our shoulders, and that's something that you'll see in every sport. Any esports has happened in LCS before, where that's when upsets can happen, and that's when the crazy storylines are born.
Tanner Demonte, ladies and gentlemen, the man who popped off in game number 2, helped Clutch Gaming tie things up 1-1 against Team Liquid. Welcome back, where Team Liquid, believe it or not, now stand on even footing with the team that Demonte was just telling us everyone considered to just stomp them.
Yeah, and it's a tough situation for Team Liquid to come into now that they're down a game, but I want to see how they bounce back from that game 2 defeat, because I think after smashing in game 1, they may have been lulled into a bit of a sense of security and said, okay, let's just not reveal anything for the finals. Let's pick exactly the same champions. Now, I think we'll get to see what Team Liquid actually wants to adapt to.
Yeah, they had the same champions, but not the same early lead, and yet they still answered every one of Clutch's moves like they had that same early lead. And that allowed Clutch to really snowball off of fight after fight.
And there's exactly what I was expecting to see. Hope you had fun, Demonte, because Kiana's not getting played anymore today. Team Liquid banning that one out, replacing their Karma ban. The other 2 Huni bans of the Rumble and the Gangplank, both still going to go through here in this first phase. Clutch Gaming will continue their Enchanter triple ban with Morgana, Sona, and Yuumi taken off the table. And Team Liquid is saying Jensen is definitely not the problem. Put that man back on a collar.
Yeah, all right, slight adjustment here. Kiana banned. Now proceed according to plan there. Clutch going to answer, though. Aatrox picked up very quickly here for them.
Yeah, such a fast Aatrox priority there from Clutch Gaming here in game 3, when it wasn't picked until after the second ban phase in game 2 and was actually banned by Clutch themselves in the second ban phase game 1. But now it's time for TL to say, all right, lane dominant range down bottom lane, bringing back the Lux.
And look how fast these picks are coming through. Team Liquid come into this one with a new game plan. They want to push down that bottom lane turret.
Yeah.
They aren't going to let this go in a farm fest once again. They're like, you know what? We know our strength. Now they're really going to flex it. Core JJ and Double Lift are best in their positions, and they want to give them tools that they can actually utilize that to their greatest effectiveness early on. Long range, Caitlyn and Lux combinations, they've already shown in the LCS. You know, they hit the bindings into the traps, and they are able to push down the turret as well.
This is a nerfed version of the support Lux, though. Almost everyone else has dropped it from their champion pool. The shield was heavily nerfed, and the Q cooldown was increased, so a very small margin for error in this lane that used to be a lot more forgiving.
And it can still be flexed to mid. With mid laners not maxing the shield and going for more damage, the Lux is very viable there. So I guess we'll leave that window open to them if they feel like they want to pull out of it and leave the Caitlyn Lux as a little bit of a bait.
Well, with the Lux being locked in there potentially for the support role, that means that the Nautilus that was previously picked for Team Liquid before the second round of the bans will this time instead go over to the side of Clutch Gaming. Looking at the second half of the bans coming through, TL targeting that jungle pool. They do not want to see Lyra on the Gragas again. He had a much better game 2 than he did game 1. Team Liquid also banning out the Skarner, keeping that one away from Lyra, who has played it plenty of times, as CG ban out the Karma and the Kinnet.
And I think Clutch Gaming needs to put as much initiation in this composition as possible while still maintaining some chance in the laning phase. With the Gragas and the Sejuani already banned out, and the Skarner already banned out, I would expect maybe even a Sejuani to come in, but for now, it's a Sylas, and that is flexible into many positions.
Yeah, I think Lyra actually had one of the best Sylas that we have seen. He did a really good job playing with the team, stealing the correct ultimate, so I think there's a high chance that this is a jungle Sylas for Clutch Gaming already, and they're saving that last counter pick here for Demonte.
And it also makes Team Liquid second guess picking a Sejuani right now, because they don't want to just give another Sejuani ultimate over, but that is ultimately the choice because of all the other jungle bans.
Sejuani will be locked in for Xmithie, and again now, third game in a row, Impact will be playing the Renekton there in the top side, going up against the Aatrox yet again. But with the Jarvan picked up for Clutch Gaming, that means it will be a mid-lane Sylas for Demonte here. We saw this matchup in game number 1. With the way things went early on with that skirmish in the river, Jensen got ahead, and Demonte was never able to catch up.
And it looks like Team Liquid is pretty all in on these early game laning phase wins. They're going to want to push in all of the bottom lane at once, and then it's on Clutch Gaming to try and initiate onto the poke 80 carry support the Team Liquid has put together, because the Renekton Akali teamfight isn't necessarily this amazing late game thing for Team Liquid, so they got to make it work early.
Yeah, Lyra here with the Jarvan actually has a very difficult job, because you lose 2v2 versus Renekton Sejuani with your Aatrox on top side. The early fights there are not recommended. Unless you have complete tracking of Xmithie, it's very dangerous. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, it's very difficult to pull off those plays on the CoreJJ and double lift with that extra range advantage that they do have. I would expect that to be the option, though, because Nautilus plus Jarvan is definitely a volatile all-in possibility that they can go for. And that has been the name of the game for Clutch. Volatile all-in strategies.
I mean, that's the way to play it. We've heard from these players before. That's how they like to do League of Legends, and that's how they're doing it here in these moments. I feel like before we've seen teams like to play a certain style, but then when pressure's on and you're on to that next important phase of going to playoffs instead of regular season, they sort of abandon that identity to play more of a traditional style. But nope, not Clutch Gaming. They are going all the way into what they've invested in. And one of the things I think is most interesting starting off this third game, 3 players in this series have now played the same champion 3 times in a row. In Cody Sun on Xayah, Jensen on Akali, Impact on the Renekton. Jensen has had 2 really good games for himself so far. Impact's been all right, and Cody Sun had 1 game where he didn't do much, and 1 game where he had a perfect KDA.
And coming into game 3 here, TL's change, even if they're not denying Cody Sun Xayah, is to try and deny him in game. Caitlyn, Lux, far more threatening duo lane than whatever the TL was throwing out with Kai'Sa beforehand and scaling up with Muramana. This is where they want to try and get the early tempo. Hello, Jetson!
Oh, that was close.
Got him. They tagged him.
Last game they said 5 people at 4 minutes. Now 4 people at 1 minute. Not
It's a dance-off.
Can we go faster? Everybody rush there. 30 seconds. Get to the mid lane. They're going to actually spread back out now to red buff starts for both junglers. No big surprise here. Meanwhile, we'll see what the bottom lane does if they actually do go for that delayed presence. Not going to be the case.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody wants to risk anything early on here. Instead, we're all just going to keep on to our normal red buff starts. Xmithie being leashed there by double lift for JJ. And topside, Lyra will get his lead.
Yeah, Lyra is pretty consistently starting topside since they've been red side all 3 games, which is allowing Cody Sun and Vulcan to start in the wave and usually beat double lift and CoreJJ to level 2, so at least the very early part in the lane is favorable for Clutch down bottom.
Yeah, and one of the big things about default jungling is set to starting on your red. Because red buff is so much stronger than blue buff. If you meet the other jungler, you're wearing red, they're wearing blue. 9 times out of 10, you're winning that. Plus, it has the AoE camps that you want to start clearing a bit earlier.
Especially Krugs, which is just
Krugs.
the value camp.
That's super fond of them. They do take longer to clear, so it's not a straight up double the value, but they do have more experience in trying to get those farmed up. Ooh!
Monte trading aggressively here with Jensen, even though he's low on HP. Wanted to make sure he was low enough to get the increased heal from the Kingslayer, but 200 is a zone where you got to be feeling a little bit endangered here up against your opponent.
Demonte took the Corrupting Potion and also looks like he started Biscuits with the Inspiration Tree, so as long as he's taking non-lethal trades early, that will be health value over the long lane.
Both junglers are going to run into each other now on the bottom side of the river. Of course, for Lyra being half HP means you don't want to take this fight directly against Xmithie, especially not with Double Lift and CoreJJ having control over bottom lane, which will be the story for a Caitlyn Lux lane.
And I like Xmithie's route here, because let's go into the mind games, right? He knows that he's going to win the 2v2 on bottom side, so Lyra's going to play away from that lane. Lyra's not even going to try and go contest that because he knows it is a losing 2v2. So Xmithie's like, all right, he's probably not going there. I'll protect bottom side as well and take away the options here for the Jarvan. So Xmithie doing the full red side clear into bottom scuttle basically cuts off the possibilities of these early Jarvan moves that Lyra would go for. I really like this kind of predictive one-upping in your planning of your jungle route.
You can try and one-up him one more time, though, because Lyra's still down here. Looking to try and make something happen. no red buff.
There's more than one way into bottom lane.
Well, that way into bottom lane is not this one because Lyra is trying to move up, but quite
he's in there.
angle just yet. He is into the brush now, but Doublelift and Core JJ are far away enough. It's not going to turn into much. And Vulcan fires off the hook. Nice sidestep there from Doublelift. Ooh. And Doublelift and Core JJ are going to win out on this trade, despite the fact that it was Clutch Gaming whose jungler was camping the lane.
A lot is told by positioning, especially of supports like Nautilus, right?
Yeah.
So I actually thought that Vulcan was going to play a little bit more calmly there, but him positioning so aggressively, I think Doublelift and Core JJ knew, something's definitely off here.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake. If Clutch had a little bit more patience, you weren't expecting Lyra to invest that much time into the bottom side. So if Clutch just continued to play the lane like they were going to get pushed in, I think there's a good chance that Doublelift or Core JJ would have face checked.
Well, coulda, woulda, shoulda, didn't, and that means that the gank does not do anything for the side of Clutch Gaming. Demonte stuck underneath his turret here in the mid lane up against Jensen's Akali. Fortunately, doesn't have 2 kills to lane with here this time around, but does have a nice CS lead built up for himself, taking control over this lane nice and early. Which is really not what you want to see if you're Clutch Gaming, because like I already said, this is the one of those 3 picks that's been repeated so many times now that has popped off both times.
Yeah, and this is already the most calm early game of the 3. In game 1, we'd already seen the Scuttle Crab fiasco, and in game 2, we'd already seen the 5-man pile mid. So mostly just farming each other out. Demonte has been ceding advantage to Jensen, but it hasn't been to a point where Jensen's been able to roam. The spicy stuff has happened in top lane as Huni actually has to flash out of the turret.
Huni using the flash to escape the attack there from Impact, but it's still Impact who's on his back foot as the Renekton in this matchup. Below half HP, he's backing away from the turret. He knows that Lyra could be nearby, and Lyra is, so Impact does a good job keeping himself alive there. This is the sort of thing that we criticized Huni for last game, not getting back in time, not following the right path out. Well, Impact hugs that far wall and gets the hell out of town.
Yeah, extremely wise play from Impact. This is what people have come to expect from him. He has the summoner spell advantage now. He teleports back to lanes. Huni's not using his teleports. Actually, it's just going to be different summoners that they have expended. Huni with that flash for his aggressive tower dive, and Impact without the teleport. That does create a weird dichotomy here, where on the top half of the map, a huge advantage for Team Liquid, because the Renekton flash advantage is insane up there. But on the bottom half of the map, the teleport is on the side of Clutch Gaming, so they're making their play there.
Demonte finds his way towards a brush that Jensen was camping out in, eats a 5-point strike but gets away. He steals the Sejuani ultimate, importantly as well. That means Clutch Gaming have this to fight with, and there's the TP coming in from Lyra you were talking about. Bottom half of the map fight turns into this. Xmithie goes over the wall with a blast cone. He's going to be setting up shop here in the pit. Core JJ provides the CC over the wall, and Vulcan is taken down to 300. Air Jake providing the DPS onto both sides.
Watch for the Aatrox TP if TL tries to fight this, because that's the advantage that Clutch was trying to play around, but Vulcan ended up taking most of his life in poke.
Yeah, we saw in the minimap, Huni ran away under his turret up there, trying to get far enough away from Renekton to get the teleport off. During that time, Vulcan got chunked down to maybe 20% HP though, and they decided to pull off the play.
Here comes the all-in attempt from Impact, going in with the ultimate there on the Renekton, but won't find much with it. Huni's still at about 2/3 HP.
Yeah, actually really big plays there by Xmithie and Core JJ to stop the Drake from being taken. That was all of the tempo that Clutch had accumulated got spent on the Drake attempt, and they didn't get anything out of it. So now they're actually just staring at a large gold deficit, CS disadvantages in every lane, and yet another plate bottom. They didn't get anything out of that teleport advantage or the time invested in Drake.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming falling behind over 1,000 gold with no kills on the board just shows how powerful these lanes that were drafted by Team Liquid are. Xmithie now hanging around topside, looking for the chance to turn this into an unfair fight. Stun comes through, Chain CC comes out, and that should be all she wrote there for Huni. First blood, Xmithie.
So, the two sides of the story that we had set up. The top advantage for Team Liquid with flash for Renekton. Turns out, Xmithie goes up there, they get the kill, they capitalize on that top advantage. But the Clutch side of it, where they had the teleport and the bottom side possible play, as you talked about, Jat, completely fizzles out for them. So in the end, it's a win-win for Team Liquid.
Yeah, and when Clutch has been struggling, it's often been when Huni's not on the same page with the rest of the team, and in game one when Clutch fell a little bit behind. They started forcing, and they weren't successful in those plays. Now they're down already about 2,000 gold, and I wonder how much of that they feel in the game, because they obviously don't have access to the spectator auto gold calculator, but they're losing top lane, they're getting out pressured mid lane, they're down turret plates. When are they gonna try and pull some of this back?
FLICKR will hand that blue buff off to Damonte in the mid lane. Let's take another look at how this happened top. It was really just Xmithie being there and changing the CC property.
Yeah, no wards on either side for either team right here. Xmithie got the reset off all the way back here for on Sejuani. They have so many extra tools, it's not even funny in that. Huni has no flash. Sejuani has ultimate as well. So you can just chain CC him down. There's no possibility of the dodge even. Impact doesn't have to blow the Renekton flash. Back to the Dragon though.
I feel like every time we look at this mid lane matchup, Jensen is just always beating Damonte out in these trades. Damonte losing more health, has the Jensen ultimate stolen there. Perfect execution would be available. Might have to use it for an escape if nothing else, as Jensen continues to trade well here. But Damonte's starting things off. Huni shows up along with Lyra, but Clutch Gaming are not in time to really find a kill there.
Yeah, things are really not looking good for Clutch here. Silas Ultimate mid lane, another attempt at Cloud Drake, fairly easily foiled. They keep going for that Cloud Drake, and Cloud Drake does more damage than any other Drake because of how fast it attacks. They end up just getting chunked out. They haven't been close to killing it. Then they try a 3-man force mid lane that really isn't even close to a kill. Really a rough time here for Clutch. They haven't been able to find their play.
And meanwhile, Team Liquid just keeps making these passively winning lanes win more. 3 plates already taken here in the bottom lane. Nice ult from Xmithie. Chain CC comes out, but Cody does a wonderful job dodging away from most of that damage.
Yeah. Good reaction there from Cody's side. They're able to just pretty much trade similar summoner spells. That is this flash from Xmithie. A lot of extra pressure though. They're whittling down on one more plate, and here comes the double roam.
Jensen and Xmithie seeing if they can make it happen this time, but I don't think so. Not with Lyra hanging out here too. Clutch Gaming will continue to hold the line here in this outer turret, but Team Liquid is now looking to give them a lesson in how to take a Cloud trade.
And I really like when teams that have advantages do what TL just did in the bottom lane there. You don't need to dive for kills, you can also dive for pressure. They burned summoner spells off of Vulcan, they burned the ultimate out of Cody's Son, so it gives them freedom to go for the Cloud Drake. Previously, maybe Clutch would have thought about contesting that Drake if they had flashes and ultimates, but once you do that half turret dive, not only do you nearly get the 4th plate, you also secure enough space for the Drake.
I feel like that play was a win-win for everybody across the map. Team Liquid gets a Cloud Drake, and Clutch Gaming stops wasting time trying to get a Cloud Drake, so now they can focus on something else. Now, Team Liquid still winning in all these lanes, still winning across the board. You can see a slight CS lead finally going the way of the mid lane. Clutch Gaming are now trying to collapse onto Impact. Huni's taking the 1v1 trade right now, but Vulcan's here. Gonna get the CC he needs. Fires off the hook, but he's not gonna get it. Flash away from Impact, doing what he does, absorbing that pressure.
Sidestep practice. TL must have been doing some of that during this week. It feels like every Nautilus hook just gets swiftly sidestepped. Now Clutch trying to run their game with the early Rift Herald, but here TL's kind of ready for it. Double Lift and Cortege already there.
And the TP's coming in. Vulcan's surely going to be bursted down here. Instead, keeps himself alive a little bit longer. Cataclysm's going to trap a couple of members in as now Lyra tries to get himself away. Almost going to be stunned up. Clutch Gaming in full retreat. Damonte nearly taken down, but still gets away. 3 members of Clutch Gaming at critical health levels.
Team Liquid control the area for now. They're going to get the push on this turret, and the turret plates are still available. So while they don't get the Rift Herald out of it, that's going to be 2 turret plates. Is basically what you get with Rift Herald anyway, as far as the money. And Double Lift wants to cash in. He does get the second one.
Man, TL just seems so inside of the head of Clutch Gaming this game. They are ahead of them on almost every single play. The normal support roam top that Clutch does to secure Rift Herald, this time is matched exactly in time by TL, and they're able to get the advantage.
Yeah, it feels like if Team Liquid's the raid boss of the LCS, Clutch Gaming just enabled that enraged condition with game number 2 and actually taking a game off of them. They seem like they've got a mission here in this 3rd game, just making the early game go their way time and again. 2,500 lead in the gold now. Rift Herald still alive. Turret plates are going to drop here in 30 seconds though, so even if a team could get Shelly, you couldn't drop it in time to get the extra money.
Yeah, and most of this lead is from turret plates for Team Liquid. This is what we were talking about in Champ Select. When you lock in the Caitlyn Lux for Double Lift and Core JJ, that is money in the bank. There's one plate left on bottom turret, and they rotate up to mid. There's only 2 plates left on this one as well. They've definitely been able to mine a lot from this early game.
Double lift on the Caitlyn, gonna scale into late game very well as well. Moving forward here, Smithy tries to make the play onto Huni, will get the flash out of him with the ulti there. Aim was on point to force the summoner spell. But now Clutch Gaming, they're gonna reinitiate. They're able to find that fight onto the enemy jungler, and Cody's son, importantly, the man who gets the goal.
All right, Rift Herald round 2 here. The big difference is because the first play failed, we are past the clock on the turret plates. So the reward for your Rift Herald is much less in gold value. Clutch Gaming very happy to get that kill though, to try and get something back for themselves after Team Liquid had stifled play after play after play.
Exactly, and this game, even though the early game has been won by Team Liquid, is far from over. We know that Clutch Gaming have a lot of initiation tools. They still have the opportunity to get first turret if they use this Rift Herald properly, and another pick they can pull themselves back in the game. We also know that TL drafted heavily around early winning lanes, so they needed to get an early advantage. The question will be, did they get enough of an advantage, and can Clutch find big team fights to try and come back in this game?
Core JJ fires off the binding, and it missed. You already mentioned, Jad, how the cooldown is much larger than it used to be on this skill, so they won't have the opportunity to use that again here anytime soon. And there you go, first turret money over to Clutch Gaming, ever so barely. Jensen gets one in response in the bottom side immediately afterwards. Impact hanging around in this side lane brush. There's a chance to do anything here, but
Quick
they won't find it.
Oh!
Shelly still gets the charge.
Gets her job done. Another big chunk out of that turret. All right, next objective on the map. 30 seconds here on the Cloud Drake setting up. This should be an easy setup for Team Liquid, though. All you have to do right now, Caitlyn traps are such a big tool for these mid-game Drake setups. You can completely cut off this area with just a couple of the traps, even this early in the game. That's why it's important right now. Vulcan moving in, trying to get vision for Clutch ahead of time.
I think we have to look at pre-fight poke, though, because even though there's a 2,000 gold lead, you look at the items, there's one major item completion across the carries, and actually it's Huni who has a Black Cleaver. Here they go, Clutch trying to get the fight.
We're starting off again, but Xmithy is not the guy you can start these fights on. Demonte is way too far in. Xmithy gets the kill onto him, and Vulcan will only buy a moment before he joins Demonte. It's 2-0 Team Liquid.
That's one of those skill shots you throw out and immediately want back. They're not done yet. Team Liquid even positioning for a possible dive here. They're just going to run Cody Sun and Huni off of the tower before retreating to the Dragon.
I can understand the mentality by Clutch thinking they want the fight right there, but they did not have the catch onto double lift where they needed. And if they fail that early initiation, the damage from Caitlyn Lux is going to pump out throughout the rest of the fight. And as you say, Kobe, Demonte landed that E. He didn't want it. He did not want to take it in. He falls.
And now that means another Drake going the way of Team Liquid. 2 Clouds is a lot of speed for these guys in team fights and in rotation. We'll see what they can do with it now, 17 minutes into the game. Not a lot on the map to contest in terms of neutrals anymore, but let's take another look at how this fight went wrong for Clutch.
So Clutch moved in to get vision first for this Drake and set up. Then I think they get baited a little bit here. Vulcan goes in first, and Sejuani almost brings the Nautilus ultimate to 3 people, but all of Clutch back off except Demonte, who throws out the second part of his E. And, you know, being into 4 people as an early game Silas, he's got no tankiness. There's no stopwatch to allow him to survive there. Team Liquid just close in on the isolated members.
It did start as a 3v5. Jensen was bottom lane and Impact was still moving over from the mid, but because they started on Xmithy, who is just so tanky at this stage of the game, the flank was able to come in and to turn disastrous for Clutch.
I mean, this game's only 18 minutes in, but it's a 4,000 gold lead for Team Liquid. That is substantial at this point in time. The early game, we said they won it. They have just ran over the thing, as Clutch Gaming seem to be pretty far behind the curve of things and are trying to find ways back in, trying to take down some of these outer turrets, get some of that gold back. If you can even up that turret count, it will make up for a bit of that difference. Jensen on the flank here, trying to stop them. Goes in after Lyra first and foremost. Turret is gonna find a lot of damage there. Remember, when you have a Cinder Hulk, that's gonna aggro the turret next to an enemy champion.
Yeah, Jensen now, possibility of another one. Xmithy here.
Damonte's in some trouble. Tries to get himself away. Perfect execution has been stolen, but Damonte will be perfectly executed.
Jensen keeps finding the fights in the side lane. Third game on Akali. Third game getting fed on Akali for Jensen. This time it wasn't in the laning phase, but nice roam down there, and then Damonte reaches to try and get something back, but Xmithy was there to shut him down.
And this time around too, we had just looked at the gold. Doublelift is over 1,000 gold ahead of Cody Sun on the Caitlyn. So they've got leads in multiple carry positions here for Team Liquid. Definitely set up to continue this pressure. You can see they're pushing all three lanes once again. Doublelift and Core JJ through the mid. Jensen's already got bottom up to that tower. And Impact holding top lane there means Team Liquid have overtaken Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and we just got a shot of Damonte's player cam. He looks a little bit defeated right now after that goes wrong. They're gonna have to pull back in this game and try and find a fight. They're going for it here in the jungle.
Vulcan's trying to start things off on a Core JJ, but there's a wall between Clutch Gaming and the targets they're looking for on Team Liquid. Cody Sun's out of position here at the start. Vulcan's gonna go down yet again. Damage continues to fly out in the form of these projectiles over the wall. The jungle is controlled by Team Liquid and Doublelift's Caitlyn traps, and now Damonte and Huni have to get themselves away. World Ender and Flash both going to be used in retreat from the solo laners of Clutch Gaming, and Team Liquid take yet another fight.
Yeah, 3 defensive flashes from Clutch right there, and that really felt like a moment where Clutch says, okay guys, we have to find something. What's the plan? I don't know, fight him.
Press R.
Yeah, and they tried, and of course it didn't work because they didn't have a good play to make, but they tried to do it anyway. So 3 defensive flashes, another death, and TL takes even more control.
All right, with bottom side being so heavily pushed in, it's only really a matter of time before Team Liquid reallocate. There's a very low health tower up on top side. Plus, we are now post 20 minutes, so you're gonna have to keep vision on that Baron. Here's a look at it, and this is gonna end up with another binding landing here from Core JJ. Doublelift walks in to try and place a trap behind it. Vulcan used the Nautilus ultimate during that. He flashes out, but look at this. Another hook they're gonna want back. He hooks right in. That is gonna be another hook that takes you into death.
Probably trying to save Cody's son, who was just going to flash out later anyway. But Kobe, even the start of that fight where he's Nautilus ulting through to Core JJ, who's gonna follow up that play? You can see Team Liquid is just much more together in this game. They have the side wave pressure. They have the now 2 going on 3 item Caitlyn, who is just going to be camped out mid lane, applying pressure. Especially Jensen's Akali has the ability to create lethal plays in the side lane, so TL is going to keep running this same setup really over and over again. Third Cloud Drake will be up. Eventually that'll turn into Baron, and that's, I think, how TL plans on winning the game.
All right, so we got to play hard mode here and look at where can Clutch attack, because they need to keep up vision around the important objective here, which is Baron. You can see them doing that right now. Their jungler and support moving over there, and they have a very hard time attacking a Caitlyn Lux mid lane. As you're talking about, Caitlyn Lux can easily keep up that push, and they've got the Sejuani front line to disengage for them. So they kind of have to attack one of these side laners, but both of them have flashes, so the options are all very, very difficult to pull off, and now Damonte gets circled in.
Jensen missed the E there. That's pretty critical for Damonte staying alive, but he will not be alive much longer. Zhonya's against Caitlyn is a death trap. The stasis ends up being his tomb, and Team Liquid will continue their push. Lyra might go down next. Jensen's able to grab the killing spree before the laser is even necessary. Huni's in full retreat. Cody and Vulcan are alive, but the tier 2 is not. And Team Liquid takes yet another victory and hikes it over to Baron.
Yeah, beautifully done by Team Liquid. Every time Clutch tries to collapse on mid lane, since TL has the pressure in side lanes, they match and collapse on the solo laner who's trying to come over. That time it is Damonte. And with Lyra dead already, TL easily turned towards Baron.
This looks like a game of the 3-time LCS champions from Team Liquid. 5k health left on the Baron. Clutch are here, though.
Time to go for it, apparently.
Clutch do not want to give this away. They know the game is totally lost if they do. Demonte is going to find the first kill. Into the pit, our Team Liquid still trying to secure the Baron. Double kill over Demonte. Stolen ace in the hole.
Let's go.
Will manage to grab that kill. Double lift is hooked, and he is done. Shut down for Cody's son. It's Baron, but it's only on 2 members of Team Liquid.
All right, Clutch, they got a power play right now. They've got extra members on the map. What else can they get? They chase Team Liquid off after the Baron goes down. They're going to be able to get mid-turret at least.
I mean, it's TL that has the power play, but Clutch Gaming is going for it. You said that, I'm like, why isn't there a cannon minion getting the power, Kobe? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, just as I start talking about it, looks like a game from 3-time LCS champions here. They all stick on the Baron. This teleport from Demonte is the game changer. He teleports in, instantly kills CoreJJ. All of Team Liquid opt to stay on the Baron. They are tanking back spikes here, while Clutch Gaming are looking for the kills, and they pick up those kills.
Yeah, and then Clutch is just trying to see who they can keep in the pit. Everyone on TL has to bail away. If you keep taking shots at TL, eventually a few of them will find their mark. And Clutch Gaming do get the kills. Still 5,000 gold down. Still a few people on TL that have Baron buff they're going to look to push with. Who's got Baron?
It's Smithy and Jensen. So importantly, you've got one of your split pushers with them.
All right, that's definitely a case, though, even though Team Liquid end up getting the Baron, of their greed getting punished. They're in such a controlling position here. They don't have to risk that. They did not keep track of Demonte's teleport. Guarantee that is a lazy move right there that ends up costing them. It probably won't cost them the game, but it is something that they're going to look to improve.
Whoa. Demonte is still going all in for this 1v1 against Jensen here, but he doesn't want to chase any further. They don't have enough eyes on the rest of Team Liquid. Demonte critically got himself on the board for the first time this game in that Baron fight as well. Was 0, 3, and 0 before that fight, but now has a couple of kills, has the Morellonomicon plus the Luden's Echo. Starting to work towards that Silas that we've all seen be a terror on Summoner's Rift before, but just hasn't shown up yet this series for Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, and time for TL to take control back of this game. They still have 1 minute 13 seconds on the Baron power play. There is still a dangling mid-tier turret in the bottom lane that TL will look to take here, whether that is from 4-man pressure in mid, drawing 5 over and Jensen taking it, or TL pushing Clutch into the base and then rotating down towards that bottom side. I think that is their target.
Team Liquid will continue that mid lane push machine. Here we go. Xmithy, so good at being that front line meatball here for CoreJJ and Doublelift, who can defend their flanks with the zone control of the Lucid Singularity and the Yordle Snap Traps, or just rotate over to Jensen, who continues owning these side lanes every single game. The man's Akali is a force of nature as they'll push up into this bottom lane. They've got a couple of cannon minions here with them to put some damage onto the turrets, but those will be cleared away rather quickly now by Cody's son and the rest of Clutch Gaming, who are now digging in, trying to defend all they have left, which is the base. No turrets left standing in the first or second tiers means this is where Clutch has to fight.
Jensen trying to keep the Baron buff on the mid lane cannon minion here while Huni tries to take it down. That was the thing that I was trying to chip away. Meanwhile, the rest of Team Liquid push in with the Caitlyn traps to get damage on bottom.
Demonte has Xmithy's ultimate as well. That could be the go button here for the side of Clutch Gaming. Demonte positioning himself next to the wall to dash over it and pass the traps if they see the opportunity to go in, but Team Liquid will not allow them that chance.
But because Baron is down, they don't have to go. They'll only go if they see a good look onto most likely Doublelift or Jensen. So it seems like TL is kind of buying time, trying to take pot shots. It's all about the turret health before Clutch Gaming goes in. If it gets low, expect them to engage.
Demonte still with the Sejuani ulti. Still seeing if maybe they go in here.
Gotta go at some point.
Xmithy's rooted up. He's on the front line. Buys some time with the stasis. Stopwatch doing its job. Huni's going to be zoning Jensen away off to the side of the fight, but now he could be in some trouble. Goes back to the base gate, keeping himself alive. Still not a 1v1 you're going to win up against Jensen. Counterattack coming in now as Vulcan goes in with the Nautilus. Demonte going to be soaking some damage, and Vulcan is gone. Demonte is gone. A double kill for Impact, and Team Liquid are on the victory march. Jensen's on a rampage. Impact got a triple kill, and Huni watches on as the rest of Clutch falls.
TL, even after Baron falls, know how to push through with the range of Caitlyn Lux. Take a commanding lead in this series, 2-1.
They may have dropped that second game, but they come back looking good. Here in number 3, Huni will just waste a couple of extra seconds, but he cannot leave the spawn platform. Team Liquid will take us to match point.
That is how you bounce back if you are TL. You change one thing. They don't throw out all of their pre-series plans. They keep the Akali and the Renekton in the solo lanes, but they double down on their greatest strengths. MVP Doublet, Caitlyn. MVP Core JJ, Lux. Let's dominate the bottom lane. Get early lane plates, get the early lead, and then never let it go.
Yeah, we saw how different of a series it can be if Team Liquid have that early control. And then with the possibility of stifling all of these early plays from Clutch, left them with no opportunities, to open up any area of the map.
And the thing that really stood out as different for me between this game and the second game is Damonte. Game number 2, he was able to pop off on the Kiana, on this champion that has so much say in where she goes with all that mobility and all that assassination power. Silas, both games we've seen him, hasn't really been able to get off the ground for Clutch Gaming. Damonte hasn't been able to find those big ult steals to make huge plays. And I'm curious if they're going to continue down this road in Game 4, because Clutch Gaming is now one loss away from losing this series.
And I think that's what they have to change. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but Yuumi, Sona, Morg have been their bans in all 3 games. Just ban the Akali. Switch that up a little bit and see where it goes.
Well, we'll see what changes they decide to make. But for now, with Team Liquid on match point, to give us a breakdown, here's the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. 2-1 stands the series score with Team Liquid taking the lead here. They ran back their composition from Game 1 in Game 2, and after taking the loss, decided to pivot just a little bit. But that's actually where I want to dive in to TL's approach to this series. And Crumbs, I know you have some thoughts around their prep specifically for Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, so 3 games already of Renekton in the top lane and Akali in the mid lane. And Renekton obviously is a champion that pretty much wins every lane. At worst case scenario, you're going to split, but you're always very useful, which does a lot to hamper Huni's game plan that is often reliant on getting ahead in the laning phase. And then the Akali for Jensen, this is a pick he's been playing all year long. Clearly very good at it, and actually has a lot of snowball potential. And if he's up against a mid laner that he considers to be the worst left in playoff, this allows him to really affect the rest of the map.
I think the other thing too is they're all good at skirmishing early game. If you're concerned about Clutch's decisive playmaking where they're always starting objectives and forcing you to walk forward, these scrappier, more skirmish-oriented champions do a better job in the early game of contesting that kind of play style. So to your point, yeah, it's great prep to make sure you have these tools available in the early game.
There you go. Coach of the Split probably had a hand in that draft preparation and setting TL up for success. But you can also once again see that in perhaps the most TL-paced game of the series so far, with only a single kill garnered by 15 minutes, they still had a 2K gold lead, so they get a lot out of so little.
Yeah, what I especially like this game is that they actually played the way that I expected here to play. Like, have bot lane prio, have double lift on Caitlyn, and like, honestly, like pick we haven't seen in a while, but having a winning bot lane does so much, especially against CG right now, because Cody, whenever he's taken off, he actually wins the game for CG. But when you're stuck on a turret and he cannot make plays and he cannot, for example, roam to mid lane, as he did in Game 2, I think the game becomes a lot different, and Vulcan being shut down, being under turret, is like creating so much space for TL to operate and makes the comps like scale easily into late game.
And I really think that this Caitlyn pick is gonna just start taking off because Cloud9 played it yesterday. It clearly is something that those 2 teams are on opposite sides of the bracket. They practice together. It's rising in priority. In week 9, it rose in priority as well. And so when you can find these early advantages without getting kills, it becomes suffocating to be Clutch Gaming and trying to figure out, well, who's supposed to step on the traps and tank the shots? Who finds the flanks when you have Akali and Renekton guarding you? So I think that this is a pick that Team Liquid will not only bank on again, but that Clutch Gaming needs to take it themselves or really get out of the table because it just stops what they want to do in the bottom lane.
You can see the difficulty the teams face in the late game against the Caitlyn, who has a gold advantage, sieging your turrets, as you mentioned. Who makes that decision that this is the time to fight? But ultimately, you are forced into that bad decision of, all right, well, we've got to fight sometime. We have to put the defense up. And I will give credit to Clutch, where maybe a lot of other teams might fold and give away too much before they finally take that stab at it. They went for the play. It didn't work out. we move on to game 4.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because when Meteos was on the desk yesterday, he was talking a lot about, like, 5-manning in bot lane and how he kind of hates doing that because you don't have the ability to kite right. You just
both ways.
You have
only
to go
one.
back, and if they're already behind you, you just literally get sandwiched. And that's what makes TL really good is they're so good about making sure those flanks aren't available. Jensen is kind of marking the side from the mid push to make sure that no one can actually get behind them. And so TL do a really good job of setting up that siege to look really clean and easy, but there's other things going on to make sure that they're not just getting flanked from behind and then Caitlyn's stuck with nowhere to net.
And I think the reality of all this is that it's the flexibility and the power of this TL bot lane that has allowed them to do so much in this series, right? Solo lanes have played 3 of the same champion 3 games in a row, and here we have Cord JJ and Doublelift jumping to an oppressive laning style with a nerfed Lux of all things, but still finding a fair amount of success with it.
Yeah, they recognize the early game importance of the first 2 games, right? The skirmish at Scuttle, the skirmish in mid lane. So they say, you know what? Let's make sure that we are set up to have the best possible early game 5v5 if it were to happen. And by having these lanes, what lane is supposed to lose? What lane do you even gank as the jungler? You've got a Renekton that's a pain, a Kali even harder, and then the bottom lane of Caitlyn Morgana constantly shoving in with the reinforcements of Xmithie.
All right, well, we do have a little bit of a curveball coming here in Game 4. Clutch will go to blue side.
Okay.
They want
Good.
one opportunity on the blue side of the map. So Amazing, I'm coming to you as we talk about how Clutch should respond to the new kind of draft focus that TL just threw up.
I mean, I kind of said earlier, like in the game before that I think they should kind of play more TL style. I think they just need to focus on the bot lane. I think if you don't get a winning bot lane, Vulcan is not going to be opened up, so you actually need to have him like join Lyra in the roams. Have him join Demonte, like especially with the Roman picks that Demonte also plays. Like have them meet in River, make some plays happen. But please get a winning bot lane, and I think taking away the Akali, for example, as a first pick would be something I would look into.
Do you have to take away Caitlyn, Lux, either of those picks in order to have a winning bot lane, or is there an option available to them to just beat up that 2v2 that they just saw?
I mean, there are options to play, right? You can play more safer bottom lane as you can go fleet footwork and shield on Sivir and just try to farm, but that's just not going to allow your support to be able to roam and join Lyra. So if your plan is to join support and junglers, you need the Caitlyn because no other AD can really push you in that hard.
Well, it also raises the question of what TL does on red side because they've had very specific bans of like, you know what Clutch likes to play. It's Rumble, Kiana, GP. Now you have to ban Yuumi. You're probably not going to ban Sona versus bot
So
lane.
what gets left up?
Yeah, so what are you leaving up? That might be what's first pick. And with that extra ban freed up, I assume Clutch is going to probably ban the Akali. But then you start taking your soul laners earlier on in the draft, which gives you bot lane counter pick.
Take your poison. What do you leave up for Clutch? Probably not Kiana.
Not
right?
Kiana.
So between Rumble, GP, what do you leave up?
GP and I take it away, probably.
Okay.
I think GP is least oppressive. Like Rumble is actually roaming champion. GP just joins the fight later on, maybe or has an ultimate to support it. So I think Rumble, Kiana have to be banned. GP is fine.
Fair enough. But the onus is on Clutch Gaming here to pick up a victory as Team Liquid are 1 win away from returning to yet another LCS final. See if Clutch can put a stop to that after the break. We're starting off again, but Xmithie is not the guy you can start these fights on. Demonte is way too far in.
I think they can dive you easy.
go. Atros was top. Only fighting bot. Only don't trust him. It's bot side.
Nice.
Jensen now, possibility of another one. Xmithie here.
Demonte's in some trouble. Tries to get himself away. Perfect execution has been stolen. Clutch do not want to give this away. They know the game is surely lost if they do. Demonte is going to find the first kill. Into the pit, our Team Liquid still trying to secure the Baron. Double kill over Demonte. Demonte going to be soaking some damage. And Vulcan is gone. Demonte is gone. A double kill for Impact. And Team Liquid are on the victory march.